Hello and greetings, my name is Chrissy B. It's good to have you again. I'm here to briefly speak about Kemetology. We know it as Egyptology, but of course, because we're not speaking in our original tongues, I like to say Kemetology. Now, Kemet was the name of Egypt, one of the original names of Egypt. Also, this was also called Tamaray, or Tamari, the whole of the North African countries. So you can sort of say sub-Sahara Africa, up the north there, Libya, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, of course Libya, and of course Kemet, Egypt. Also Nubia, because Nubia is to the northeast. But Nubia was a country before. Nubia was all part of, at one stage it was all part of Ethiopia. But because of colonization, when the Europeans came and colonized the motherland and divided all the countries up, as you can see, all the intricate lines all divided up into equal measure, or not equal measure for say, but according measure, then the country started to change, or the names of the countries started to change. Originally though, in Africa, in ancient Africa, before colonization took over, set in, it was one big continent, one big family. Of course, some say it was called Ethiopia to start off with. I don't think so. I think there was a number of countries, but at least in ancient Africa, it was one people. Accordingly, the Greeks said that in Africa there's two nations. There's the Libyans, which inhabited the north, sub-Sahara. Then you had, of course, underneath the Sahara, you had, of course, Ethiopians, which were the seed of Ham. Apparently in the scriptures it says that Africa is really known as the land of Ham, you see. So there's many stories as to what the name of the country, what the name of the continent was. And one people, they all had their own indigenous forms, but there was all one entity. It was just one big continent of different nationalities and different tribes of people, or different nations of people. Some people don't like the word tribe. The purists don't like the word tribe, but some will say, how else could you explain it? So instead of saying tribe, we could say nations of people, and so on. We know that the melanated people, which are African people, which were the seed of Ham, which were black people, melanated people, created, which were the biggest civilizations the world has ever seen. All those monuments in Kemet, the Sphinx, the step pyramid of Djoser, which was built by the great father of medicine, Imhotep. Imhotep means the one who comes in peace, so I come in peace, in the ancient Egyptian language. Because another thing again, Arabic isn't the national form of language in Egypt. Arabic isn't the original, language in Egypt. The Egyptians were speaking their own indigenous forms of language, their own Egyptian Kemetic language. And you can see much of that language. When you go inside the pyramids, you can see the writings on the hieroglyphics and so on. Those were the writings that the ancient Egyptians were using, in the language which ancient Egyptians were using. Also, the Egyptians referred to their gods as nators. All of their gods had a hunk in their hand, a hunk like this. Find you one now. Let's see if we can find a hunk. And someone's just like this. So they have got the hunk here. You see that? That's the hunk right there. See? Purely shiny gold hunk. Thank you. So and there you go. You see, and all the gods, they're depicted holding this hunk in their hand. The hunk is a symbol of life. It's a symbol of strength. It's a symbol of divinity. And then instead of the cross, then the ancient Egyptians, which are our ancient ancestors, referred to this as the giver of life, the hunk in each deity's hand. So you'd have the pharaohs of the hunk in their hand, and you'd have the gods, the principal gods, Osiris, Horus, Osiris, and Isis. Those three, you see, with the hunk in their hand. You also have the pharaohs like Ramesses and all the others, King Djoser, Imhotep. All of those gods and deities, principal gods and chief gods and deities, all had hunks in their hand. And that's why it's important for us to get this information and to follow suit and to have a hunk ourselves. But like I said, the greatest civilizations were built by us, built by the Africans, our ancestors. In Nubia, there's wonderful pyramids. The pyramids in Nubia are not as big as the pyramids in Egypt. Like the pyramids are smaller pyramids, but they were still a great civilization and a great mark of civilization by our ancestors. I remember when I went to Kemet some years ago, and even the way that our ancestors used to go to the toilet. This elder was showing us what our ancestors used to do, how they used to go to the toilet, the way they used to kneel down and sit down, and the toilets were in the ground, and they would just kneel down, and everything. The way and we were designed to go to the toilet, and everything comes out. I know we're being a bit graphic. Everything was to come straight out. Nowadays, a lot of us, when we go to the toilet, we don't do it properly. We don't. The way we sit is all wrong. But when this elder showed us when I went to Kemet years ago how our ancestors did it, it made a lot more sense to me, and it opened up my eyes to a lot of things that we've missed out on in the West, or being in the West. You see, it's a deep thing. Also, our eating habits. You know, our ancestors used to clean out the system at least twice a week. Don't forget, in those days, our diet was a lot better than it is now. You see, our diet and all this processed food and so on, and food in a packet, and food not being cooked properly, and starchy food, and of course chickens and so on, fishes, they're not being killed at the right time. They're being killed prematurely, and it's having an effect on people's health. You see, but in those days the food is a lot more fresh and more, better prepared in ancient times, and without all the chemical intoxication in the food. Our ancestors used to use a lot of washout and a lot of things to clean out their system. A lot of people lived long in those days. Our ancestors lived some of them to 200, 300 years of age. In the scriptures it has it. People like Job, those men, Noah, they lived for many, many, many years. So it shows you what we missed out on being in the motherland. And this is where Marcus Garvey comes into it. Marcus Garvey set up the shipping lines to take us back to Africa, for us to cultivate land, for us to build more civilizations, for us to own businesses, for us to dominate the whole continent. Because, as Bob Marley also said, Africa for the Africans. Everyone's got their own continent. Asians have got Asia, the Europeans have got Europe, so Africa must be for the Africans. But as usual, everybody wants a piece of what the African has. We have anything, they all want it. We're the ones that everybody wants to be like. We're the original people on the face of the planet. We're the ones that built the first civilizations. You know, we're the ones who, in the scriptures, all those people in the scriptures, Solomon, Samson, Esther, those are all Mennonites. Those are all you could say Nubians, you could say black Africans, the seed of Ham or Hamites, as the Greeks would say, but they're all black people. So we are the people of the planet. We are the first people of the planet. We are the people of the planet. We're the first civilizations, and it's living proof, archaeological evidence. As I said to you the other day, in the first human bones were found in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, many, many years ago. There's doctors doing archaeological evidence, DNA evidence to suggest that black people were the first people on the planet. You see, Andy Diop did a lot of research on that. He went to Africa, and he did research on that in his lab, and to see that we're the first people, you know, we're the first people on the face of the planet. I see. Imhotep was the first to use columns to kind of hold up buildings, you know. And when you go, the Moors carried that philosophy with them in Europe. When they went to Europe, when they not invaded, but when they travelled, when they ventured to Spain and Portugal, even now today you see many mosques. There's a place in Cordova in Spain where there's like a museum in Cordova, southern Spain, that has monuments dedicated to the Moors. The mark that the Moors and the legacy that the Moors had left in Spain when they went there, before they got ran out by King Ferdinand and Isabella in the Middle Ages there, because they were going to bring Islam to Spain, and they're going to turn Spain upside down and dominate Spain. But they never, of course, King Ferdinand and Isabella never wanted anything to do with it. So they ran the Moors out, and they went back to being a Christian country again. But the Moors have brought a lot of Arabic words. They incorporated over 5,000 Arabic words into the Spanish dictionary when they went to Spain in the Moors. The buildings, the concrete, they civilized Spain no end. The buildings, the monuments, the mosques, as I said to you, the cuisines, even the cuisines that the Spaniards have, came from the Moors. The Moors took it from Africa and brought it with them when they went into Spain. When the Moors went to Italy, they brought the dress sense with them. The leather trousers, the leather shoes, all the things they're wearing, the robes. They brought all that to Southern Europe and much of Asia as well. So the Moors were really a set of people that were really inspiring, and they left their mark. And you go to much places in the Mediterranean now, and you see all the mark on the Moors, the patterns for as I said, the columns, as well as the window designs, you know, and those wonderful, we call it mosaic, those patterns, those like wonderful intricate patterns in floors and carpets, that all comes from the Moors, all Moorish civilization that comes from, you see. They left a lot of it in Portugal as well, before they got run out of Portugal as well. So the history of the African person is really rich, and you've got to really take all of these things into consideration, you see. And that's why I keep saying, read Marcus Garvey's book, Philosophies and Opinions. Philosophy's Opinions. You've got this one as well, which is one of the best books I've ever read, From Babylon to Timbuktu, by, of course, Rudolph Windsor. It was written in '69, but they had it repressed in '88, and it's a wonderful book. And these are the teachers that have travelled to Africa. They've spoken to scholars, they've studied these things themselves, and they've gone through all that trouble to get the information to us. So we're going to use it now, because our time in the West is coming to an end. We need to move out. We need to go back to Africa. I've said this many times, and other master teachers and teachers in general, I've said this many times, that they're going to move out from the West and go back into the motherland and go back and try and help it, because it needs us. Learn a skill and go back over there and take up residency there. It's important. So we say, we thank you very much for the time. We hope that you take all these things into consideration, and much love to you, honour to you, and we'll be back again soon. Double tongue. We'll be back again soon with some more information and some more incitements. We're going to talk about jazz very soon as well, so look out for it. Bless up.